All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is March 26, 2025. My name is John Kerrigan. I moderate the BYOB Trading Room. Hey, let's go take a look at some charts. Before I look at some charts, I want to thank everybody for subscribing. I want to thank everybody for the kind comments. I want to thank everybody out there in podcast land, digital land. Appreciate that. Thank you to all my members that subscribe to my services. I'm so glad you find value in the content. All right, let's take a look at some charts. 10-minute chart of SPY, 10-minute uptrend coming into the close. 2-hour chart. Got a 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. On the daily chart, we've got a red candle bearish engulfing. Got a lower high, lower low, closing below the bullish trap, under the flat 17 EMA, over the 2025 anchored low at 2025 anchored VWAP low. All right, for that's 2025. Put the anchored VWAP on the low of day in on the looks like the 13th of March. All right, so price action. I said there's a kind of a chance. We got a doji right here. That chances are, if we break below the bottom of that tail, if you listen to the morning video, you can see we broke below the bottom of that tail. I said it's a good chance we're probably coming down to check the prior day's low, and we did. Then we started doing some partial gap fill right through here. So there's a daily chart. Let's take a look at it with scratch. All right, price action. Right here in quadrant 3, zoom way out, take this off. Okay, quadrant 3, so we're just neutral right here, still neutral. Still showing a bear flag, all right, so, or a pullback, call it a pullback in a downtrend right here. So there's SPY on the daily chart. Very well could be forming an H pattern rollover. We'll see, probably going to come down here and test this low right here. We'll see what happens, all right? Or at least the anchored VWAP low for 2025. All right, so there's SPY on the daily chart. We'll see what happens tomorrow. You can see we hit, right here is the all-time high. This is the all-time high anchored VWAP. You can see price action spike that. Normally, most times after spiking the all-time high, price action tends to pull back. And we had a $10 pullback today. So there's price action, almost a $10. How hard did we go? Set 576 down to about 567, 568. Okay, so there's SPY on the daily chart. All right, let's take a look at the game plan. All right, and the game plan worked out fantastic today. Thank you to all the traders in the room that made profits trading the game plan. All right, so game plan was I like Friday options, so that's going to be 2 days till expiration or 9 days till expiration. All right, we were looking for price to break out over the top. Never got a green candle up here on the 26th. That was today. See, the first candle was red. That's a no-go on the red. Okay, red candles. We want bullish candles if we're going to have a breakout over VWAP. All right, so it was a no-go right there. So price action started coming down. We broke below. See the pivot right here, 574. If you listen to me in the morning, I pretty much tell you above 574, I'm a bull. Below 574, I'm a bear. So you can see we had the breakdown right there, consolidate into a bear flag. And then we rolled right through this, got caught underneath VWAP with a 10-minute downtrend under VWAP, and we just traded that all the way down to prior day's low, anchored VWAP, which would have been right about here. So we traded into this pink line, that bright pink line. We traded it right into there, and then we had a red erases green event right through here. So we traded that down to 567 area right there. Partial gap fill right there. All right, so there's price action for SPY on the game plan. If you traded the 10-minute downtrend, you made money. A lot of traders made money today in the game plan, all right, including myself. If you look at my, you can see a whole lot of success here on the game plan, trading the game plan. Puts all the way, all right, you can see it puts all the way there. So, all right, so let's go take a look at QQQ. Let's move this out of the way. All right, and QQQ is, didn't want to do that. Put that back in and just go this way. All right, QQQ had a game plan as well. 10-minute downtrend underneath VWAP. All right, you can see never triggered in on the price up here. Pivot was 491.10. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. You can see we never got any green candles above the pivot, so that was a no-go for the bullish entry. Definitely a green light for the bearish entry. Price action underneath, big igniting candle, igniting move down. Price action pulls back right here, 10-minute downtrend. And you could have traded that all the way down into the lows right there, sticking with the 10-minute trend the whole way. So there's QQQ on the 10-minute chart. So you could have played the SPY game plan. You could have played the QQQ game plan. You could have played them both or traded them both. And you could have traded the ES, all right? Either way, you could have traded the ES or the MES, that's the micro E-mini. Or you could have traded the micro NQ, which would be the micro NASDAQ, all right? Or you could have traded the NASDAQ, the NQ, all right? So either way, you could have made some money on 1, 2 Qs and the SPY, along with the ES and the NQ. So there was 4 products right there. You want to trade futures, you want to trade options. Either way, you could have made a lot of money today, all right, just trading the game plan, and that's that 10-minute downtrend. That's our flagship strategy right there, is a 10-minute downtrend under VWAP or a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, okay? And we especially like it when we see price action breaking away from the VWAP line. So that's that burnt brown line right there. So there's QQQ. All right, let's pull over here. We'll take a look at it on the scratch. And why are not the, let me zoom out to the daily chart. There we go. All right, so we got a bearish engulfing. All right, lower high, lower low, closing below a bullish trap, below the flat 17, below the all-time high anchored VWAP, not in the lower third, so just neutral right here on QQQ daily chart. All right, showing a bear flag. In other words, a pullback in a downtrend. So there's QQQ. Let's take a look at IWM. IWM, again, another pullback in a downtrend. Bearish engulfing. Well, yesterday's candle was a red candle, so it's not quite bearish engulfing. So anyways, lower high, lower low, closing under the bullish trap, under flat 17 EMA, under all-time high anchored VWAP, that's the pink line up there, okay, under the uptrend line right there, okay, under the midpoint, half court, midfield, whatever you want to call it, right there, 50-yard line, okay, under all of that. Down here in quadrant 1, all right, that is bearish down there, okay, you move up, you give it up, and more, that's bearish, okay, so there's IWM. All right, let's take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, here's Diamond Dow, price action. A little bit different on Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow gets a outside day, looking like an outside day anyways for my distance. The low, 424.36. The low, 423.14. So it is an outside day. That's a higher high and a lower low, closing over a bullish trap, over the flat 17, under the pink line, all-time high anchored VWAP, under the gold line, that is the uptrend line, over the midpoint, half court, 50-yard line, all right, midpoint here, okay, so just neutral. Again, you move up and give it up, that's neutral. You move down give it up, that's neutral. All right, so price action just neutral through here for Diamond Dows. Take a look at the last one. And Rickster said he hit a daily goal. Awesome, Rickster. Rickster hit a daily goal. All right, let's take a look at last one, FNGA. All right, that's the new ticker. Again, showing a bear flag. That'd be a pullback in a downtrend right there, spiking out the lower high. Price action, lower high, lower low, closing under the bullish trap, under the flat 17, under pink line, all-time high anchored VWAP, under the midpoint 50-yard line, mid-court. All right, that's the green dash right through here. That's the mid of the quad lines, under the golden green line right here. So that makes that the uptrend line. So under that. Okay, so not in the lower third. All right, so that puts it at a neutral. All right, you move up, you give it up, that's neutral. You move down, you give it up equally, that's neutral. All right, so there's FNGA. Let's take a look at technicals, T2122. Yesterday we left off, we were making little micro lower highs and lower lows. Okay, you can see we gapped up out of the buyer's chop zone, almost into the overbought zone. Crazy. Wow. All right, so from there, we didn't last long, nothing but a microsecond in the overbought zone. Okay, and found ourselves in the buy zone where the bears threw us out. Okay, we wound up making more micro highs, micro lows. All right, on the 15-minute chart inside the buyer's chop zone right here. And bears decided they didn't even want us in the buyer's chop zone, so they sent us packing over the midpoint right here. That's the goal line in the middle. All right, into the seller's chop zone. All right, more lower micro highs and micro lows right through there. So there's T2122 on the 15-minute chart. Probably going to be represented by a whole lot of red candles or red 17 EMA balls when we get to T2123, okay? So here's the gap up, all right? Green from the beginning, all right? And this is where the bears fill the gap. See the dash, all right? So price jumps up to here, and the bears fill the gap. And price action did come back to the 200 SMA. If you watched my morning video, I said I'd like to see price action catch on the 200, hooking 200 SMA here on the 15-minute chart. Looking like a hook, really. Got a low, failure to make a lower low right here, all right? So possible hook, all right, right here on the 200 SMA as we get a pullback right through here. So outside day, if you look at this, T2123, making a higher high and a lower low. All right, but looking like a catch on that hooking 200 SMA. All right, if we back way out and look at this from a distance, got a nice hockey stick, okay? Notice this would be a nice V bottom, right? We like the V bottoms. And so if you're a bull, if you're a bear, you like the hockey stick, all right? Here's the handle. This would be the neck down here. All of this would be the handle, and this would be the hockey blade right there. The blade of the stick right there. Notice price goes down and moves over to the right. All right, not like the V bottom where the V bottom hits it and you get that red rubber school ball bounce up over the highs. Okay, so T2123 looking like a possible catch there on T2123. Take a look at it on the 3-bar chart. Okay, excuse me. Green candle, first one, second two are red. All right, still caught underneath a failing 200 SMA or fading. All right, still caught in a hockey stick, still caught underneath two prior all-time highs and the all-time high up here. Okay, you can see price action makes a lower high. All right, and guess what happens? The bears are inspired to make the lower low. See down here, lower low. There's the low, there's the lower low. So there's the 3-bar chart on T2123. We're trying to print out some bullish activity, but if you go to the 15-minute, we got little snippets of bullish activity where we get consolidation over prior consolidation. All in all, we're not getting far since the bears keep filling the gaps. All right, so we're not getting very far with this. Notice we had a bearish gap that got filled. Here's a bullish gap that got filled yesterday. Another bullish gap got filled again today. Let's take a look at FNGA. All right, again, you can see price action showing a long stick and a hockey stick right there. Pullback in a downtrend. If we zoom in on the 15, all right, you're going to see pretty much red from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. All right, again, I was looking for this one to also catch on the 200 SMA. Doesn't look like they were able to hold it. They may recover it tomorrow morning. Notice the price action, all right, which gave us really great price action in the SPY. You can see price separates itself from the VWAP line. That's the brown line right there. Notice, see the separation is getting bigger and bigger between the brown line and the yellow candles here. Okay, so red from beginning of the day to the end of the day, nothing but selling from the beginning to the end. All right, and we find ourselves again yet underneath this hooking 200 SMA. Possible they recover it tomorrow. We'll see what happens. All right, supposedly president's supposed to be coming out with some new auto tariffs, so we'll see how that goes. That's not going to be good. Anyways, that's FNGA right there. Okay, we follow the FNGA because, all right, it's got 10, and it only has 10 securities in it. It's got 10 of the most heavily weighted securities in the QQQ and the SPY. That's why we follow it, because this happens to be the one product that does jerk the indexes around. Those 10 products that are heavily weighted in the SPY and the QQQ have the ability to jerk price wherever they go, regardless of what the other 90 in the QQQ are doing, and regardless of what the other 480 or 490 are doing in the S&P 500. All right, so I got a few questions here before I go to XLE. All right, what does the hockey stick do? Go down. Yes, typical hockey stick. Typical move for the hockey stick is, let me find my drawing tools just a minute, Jim. Give me just a little. Here we are. Still can't find them. Here they are. All right. Hold on. All right. Going to take this out. All right. And what does the hockey stick do? All right. So let's look at this. Get out my drawing tools. What happens is price action comes down. All right. All right. And then it moves over to the right like that. That's a bear flag. And then the next typical move, it's a 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's typically what happens out of a hockey stick. Is a 1, 2, test the prior low, 3, make a lower low. That's the general motion. Same thing goes with the bullish one. When we have 1, 2, 3s to the upside, all right. All right, what do we get? We get the same price action, okay? I pointed out we got a 1 igniting move up. All right, we'll have a igniting move up. Price will consolidate, and near the end of the day, probably about 2:30, 12:30, we get a breakout to the upside. All right, you ever see that? Us gap up, consolidate directly over to the right, and then break out to the upside. We can take a look at one real quick. I'll take a look at, actually the FNGA has a nice one right here. Okay, this is a 1, 2, 3. All right, it's just in a smaller time frame. Okay, so price action moves from the low up to the high, consolidates 1, 2, 3. All right. All right. So that is a move to the up, and the one that would go down would go like this, over, and like that. That was the general, is typically what happens. All right. So that's what the hockey stick does. Typically, okay, doesn't always do that, but in motion, all right, if you're not seeing any bullish activity, all right, people that are holding that security don't see any bullish activity. They start to panic, all right, and selling begets more selling, all right, because they don't see buyers stepping in to bounce it back up, and they say to themselves, what am I holding on to this crap for? And they begin selling, and that generates the whole 1, 2, 3 to the downside. And it's the same thing on the upside. People see price move up, and instead of pulling back, it's held up there, all right, by bulls. And what you get is more buying steps in, and then what you get is a move to the upside, all right. Monday, 3 daily goals. Tuesday, -2 goals. Today, 5 goals plus 6 goals for the week. Thank you, John. Thank you for sharing that, Jim. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. MC, John. Hi, John. Before you leave today, can you review today's main trade setups? Absolutely. I think I just did that. I'll do it again here, all right? Just a second. Let me fix this. That goes there. Let's go back to the, all right? We trade a 10-minute chart, okay? We trade the SPY, all right? You can do the QQQ, either one. Let's pick up a clean chart. Actually, I'm going to go to something different. Doesn't have all of that on there, and I'm going to go to this chart right here. All right, this nice clean chart. Okay, we have the game plan. All right, you see the game plan, MC. All right, we have price. Red erases green right here. See the red erasing the green. And the thing that happens up here at the pivot. Okay, so we have a red erases green. So I'm going to step away from the game plan. All right, because you don't really need this entry or this entry. Notice the green never got filled. We never had a good green candle over 575.50. So no bullish call trade today. All right, so let's take this off. All right, so the first candle's red. All right, and we got, get my drawing tools out, trash that out, pick up my red one. Okay, actually pick up my green box. Okay, so price goes from this low, all right, on the previous day, up to this high. Okay, we can agree on that, right? From that low, goes up to that high. Now we get, this is going to blow your mind right here, okay? Now you watch, here's red, erases green. Where's the entry? You could have taken it right here on that candle right there. Okay, red erases green right underneath the body, all right, of that little doji candle right there. So there it is. That candle right there was your entry. And you sit through this bear flag, and of course you've got a 1, 2, 3 actually, just like earlier. You got to move down, over to the right, and then a move down. So there's a 1, 2, 3. So that was the trade today, and the same thing worked out in QQQ. So we traded 572 puts. All right, if you look in, we traded the 572 puts. I think I made nice couple daily goals at least. I think I made 5 daily goals. No, I made 5 daily goals trading the 572 puts along with some other puts. All right, and you can see price action is in a 10-minute downtrend. There's no need to exit, all right, unless you hit a target or you got a daily goal. All right, you can stay in this until that 10-minute trend ends. Now you look real close, you can still see daylight in there. See, there's daylight in between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. And if you look real closely right here, all right, you get pinched just a little bit. Let's see what it says. The 3 is 568.99. The 8 is 562.02. So you can't see it, but there's a 3-cent daylight between the 3 EMA right there and the 8 EMA. So you could have traded it and you could have stayed in this all the way down to the bottom down here. All right? All day long. All day long. Now, me, when I trade, I take profits. All right? Little micro profits when price is away from the 3. So in the 3, I sell off a couple contracts, and then I reload them when they come back to the 3. Sell off, reload, sell off, reload, sell off, reload, sell off, reload, sell off, reload. So you want to see what that looks like. I'm going to show you what that looks like on my chart. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go hit the, where are we? Right here. So I'm going to show you what that looks like on my chart. All right. We're in a 10-minute downtrend. All right, here's my entry. Sell off into a dip. See the dip? I sell. Pulls back to the 3. See that? Pulls back to the 8 and the 3. I reload. All right, comes back down. I unload. Pulls back up to the 3 and the 8. Okay, I reload. Constantly unloading, reloading. The red dots are the sells. The blue dots are the reloads. So that's what it looks like on my chart when I unload and reload. All right. See if I can open it up. You can see it a little bit better. All right. And I'll pan over. All right. So there you can see me. Enter, unload, reload, reload, unload, reload, unload, reload, unload, reload, unload, reload, over and over. I just do this all day long. All right? Unload and reload all day. That's it. Do the same thing every day. Find that 10-minute trend, and I just work it. When the price gets away from the 3, I take some profit. When it pulls back to the 3 EMA, I reload. I just do this over and over all day long, constantly, until that 10-minute trend ends. That's what I do. All right? So the same thing worked on the QQQ. But anyways, I traded this chart. All right? I traded this chart. You can see this one. I traded, where is it? Let me pan over. You can see where I purchased, unloaded, purchased, unloaded, purchased, unloaded, purchase, unload. All day long. Just purchase and unload. There's another one. And on this one, I purchased and unloaded right there. There's another one. I was already holding it, so I unloaded it because it expired today. Here's another one. Okay, you can see right here, I do the same thing. Purchase, unload, purchase, unload, purchase, unload. Same thing. See me? Buy them back, unload them. Buy them back, unload them. All day long. All right? That's what I do. So those were the setups, Mr. MC. All right? That's how I do it. Those are my trades. 10-minute downtrend, and that's how I trade every single day. Take profit into the dips. All right? If I got puts, I'm taking profits into the dips, okay? And I'm reloading on the rallies. All right? As long as that 10-minute trend is intact, I'm going to continue doing this all day long until the 10-minute breaks. Just like that. All right? That's what I do all day long. If you're a new subscriber or a trial, this is a perfect lesson for you. See the space opening up right here between price and the VWAP right there. This is where the money's made. Right here. Okay, see the space? The space. The space. All of this. All of this is opportunity. As long as the space continues to grow wider and wider, all of this, just opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. Okay? Days when there's no opportunity are like yesterday. Okay? Yesterday's price action. Okay? Let's zoom into yesterday's price action. Okay? So we'll pan over. Zip this down. See how price doesn't separate from the VWAP? All it does is chomp back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. No opportunity yesterday. Hence, you saw one of the traders was sharing, okay, he lost 2 daily goals in the chop. This is the chop. This is what to avoid, okay? This is what you muckle onto. See the space opening up? See that 17 fading away from the VWAP? Notice the space between the 17 and the VWAP right here. See how it begins to grow and grow, grow, growing bigger and bigger and bigger. See that? There's the opportunity right there. Okay? That's where the opportunity is. This, back here, okay? See, this is chop. See the 3 crossing over the 8? 2 and 3 times. Not separating from the VWAP. But the nice thing about this, after you get one of these days, see, that's consolidation. And typically after a price winds up like this, you're going to get a good breakout, either to the downside or to the upside. So even though you lose a daily goal or two on this chop, get ready for tomorrow, okay? Because tomorrow will probably deliver a breakout day. And there's been days where it's been just more chop, but be prepared because a breakout is coming. Whenever they wind up like this, a breakout to the upside or the downside, usually coming soon. All right, so watch for those. Even though it's a bad day, just stick it in your back pocket and think about tomorrow where you're going to make it all back and more right there. All right, see, stay away from the chop. Okay, this is what you want to trade right there. Mel asks a question. So in this move on the SPY 10-minute chart, you followed the 17 EMA downtrend? No, I wasn't even looking at that, but it was there. I followed the 10-minute downtrend, but I came into a target right here. And remember I said I'm out. I'm looking for a VWAP pullback, and it never happened. And then we had more red erases green, and I jumped in and made another 2,000 right here. Okay, so that was red erases green, and I jumped in on this second move to the downside right there. Red erases green, I traded that down to there. Okay, so no, I don't follow the 17, but if you look at the way the 17 breaks away from, all right, it's a much clearer. You can see the 17 breaking away from the brown VWAP line. See how the distance begins to grow. All right, that's where the opportunity is, right there. Stick with the 10-minute trend. All right, stick with the 10. All right, that's a winner, that 10-minute trend. Watch that break away. Okay, the 17 will only break away if the 10-minute is breaking away. For real. You're going to need this to drop in order to pull the 17 away from the VWAP. Okay. Mel, is the white line is the 8 EMA. the yellow line is the 3 EMA. The red dots are the 17 EMA right there. All right. Nice work, Jim. Yeah. All right, let's go review last two. Actually, we'll review the XLE, some precious metals, and a few sectors, and we'll take a look, and then we're going to wrap this up for the day. If there's no more questions, all right? All right, let me wrap this up for you guys. All right, so where were we? We were on Scratch, and we were headed towards XLE on the daily chart. Okay, so XLE put in a sword yesterday, and look how they broke over the top of that sword. That's really bullish. When they put the sword up like that and they break over the top, that's bullish. Anyways, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap. See the trap? That's the 3 separated from the 8. Notice the 3 is on top of the 8, so that's a bullish trap. When the 3 is under the 8, that's a bearish trap. Okay, so 3 on top of the 8 over the rising 17. See the green dots? That's the 17 EMA over the rising 17. Okay, up over. Okay, this 12-month high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. Up over, see downtrend line 1, that's the goal line there. And downtrend line 2, that's the other goal line. Up over the midpoint, making higher highs. See the high right here over the 17? They made a higher high. Okay, so making higher highs, so that's an uptrend. Up here in the upper third, all right, up here in the upper third, so that's bullish. All right, if you watch this, and I said this, I don't know if you follow me on the other videos, all right, but whenever you get price to move up over all-time high anchored VWAP and hold for 3 to 5 days, you usually get rewarded with a breakout. Well, guess what? Here's a move up, all right? Here's a move up right here, move up, consolidate, see, 3 to 5 days. All right, and then what do you get? A sword breakout to the upside. 1, 2, 3. All right, instead of the hockey stick, all right, you got the bull flag breakout. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, watch for it. Whenever you see this, holds for 3 to 5 days. All right, they reward you with a nice breakout. There's XLE. All right, let's take a look at a few. Let's take a look at UNG, high flyer UNG, lower high, lower, actually inside day, lower high, higher low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. I'm going to give it to them in the upper third. All right, so that's bullish in the upper third. Let me just say they're not hanging on by much. All right, 10 more cents and they fall out of the upper third. All right, there's UNG, okay? Closing under the trap. Let's see the yellow line is now under the 8, so that's a bearish trap. Closing under the bearish trap. Closing under, see the red dots? That's the 17. Under a flat 17, all right? Closing over the gold line, that's the uptrend line. Closing over, see this is a 12-month high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line, okay? Price action closing up over that. Okay, notice you hold for 3 to 5 days. They reward you with a breakout. See that? Price moves up. You hold on 3 to 5 days. They reward you with a breakout. See, I'm telling you stuff that works. I've been teaching this for a long time. Move up again. Look, holds for 3 to 5 days, and they reward you with, guess what? Yeah. See that sword breakout to the upside right there. I want you guys to be successful. I'm teaching you some of the all my secrets. All my secrets, I'm giving them to you right now. See that? They reward you with the breakout. All right, so in the upper third, so that's bullish. See it? Up over the midpoint. In here, up in the upper third, just barely. All right? I'm just going to call it. I'm going to give it to him because I like him. UNG. All right? So there's UNG. All right? That's bullish. All right? Let's take a look at USO. Let's get through this. All right? Not that I want to leave you guys, but I do want to start my evening. Higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap. Over the flat 200, flat 17 EMA there. See that? Closing over the bullish trap. Closing over. See the goal line? The uptrend line. Closing over. See this pink line? That's the 3-year high anchored VWAP. Okay, goes all the way back to the post-COVID high. Remember 2020? How could you forget it, right? This is the post-COVID rally right here. In other words, post meaning after. So after COVID rally right there. So the post-COVID high, and we're up over that. Okay, so watch this. All right, to bull flag for 3 to 5 days. Chances are, if they do that, they're going to reward you with a breakout. All right, we'll see. They got to hold it. All right, you got to move to the higher ground and hold the higher ground. If they don't hold it, if they give you a treetop, in other words, they give you up and back like a mountaintop, all right, that's just neutral. All right, but if they get it to hold for 3 to 5 days, you watch, I'll bet they reward you with a breakout to the upside. USO on the daily chart, okay, over the trap, over the 17, over the 3-year high anchored VWAP, over the gold uptrend line, up here, over the midpoint, half court, midfield, depending upon what sport you play, right here, okay, at the midpoint, that's neutral. You move up, you give it up, see how they couldn't hold it? No reward. Okay, they move up here, they hold it, see how they hold it? For 3 to 5 days, and look what happened. Bingo, reward, okay? See, they couldn't hold it up here, and they give it up. Okay, but they did here. See, they hold for 3 to 5 days, and then bingo, you get the reward. All right, so watch. Watch for this. All right, so there's USO. All right, that's neutral. You move up, you give it up, that's neutral. Well, the same thing works on the other side. You move down, and you give it up, that's also neutral. All right, there's USO. Let's go take a look at precious metals. Here's the GLD. Okay, GLD price action. My eyes aren't that good, so I have to zoom way in and then I zoom out. Lower high, lower low. Closing inside a bullish trap because the 3 is on top of the 8. That's a bullish trap. If it's under, that's a bearish trap. Closing looks like inside the bullish trap, but under, see the pink line? All-time high anchored VWAP. All right, that's the pink line. Up here, I'm going to zoom way out. That's quadrant 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that's bullish up there. Anytime it's in the upper third, that's bullish. All right, so there's GLD. All right, so that's the daily chart. This is kind of hot. It needs to cool off, okay? If you're waiting for the breakout, you might be waiting for a little bit longer, all right? Because remember, this thing just made a new all-time high, all right? It's going to take it a while to, to consume some spinach, you know what I'm saying? Get some mustard, all right? So it can make another run to another all-time high, okay? It usually takes a while after they do that. All right, so don't be impatient waiting for this. Give it a chance to rest. Maybe pull back and touch some minor support. And then that's where the spinach comes into play right there. Pull back to minor support, and then you see the rip. All right, so there's gold, typically. All right, let's take a look at silver. All right, silver making higher low. See the higher low right here? All right, higher low. Here's a low. That's a higher low. Higher high. See the high? See the high? Higher high. That's an uptrend. Okay, silver. Okay, price action. I got to zoom way in again. Sorry, guys. Lower high, lower low. Closing over the bullish cross. See the 3 crossing over, closing over the bullish cross, closing over the rising 17 right there. See the green dots over the rising 17. Okay, up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish up there. Okay, over this. This is a 12-year high anchored VWAP. See that pink line right there? That's a 12-year high anchored VWAP, even though it only goes back to October. All right, if you go back, you'll see that that's a 12-year high. The last time we were up there was 12 years ago. The all-time high happens to be 48 or 46, somewhere around there. All right, looking for price, making a higher low, looking for bulls to be inspired to re-challenge the prior high over here for 2024. All right, looking for that challenge again. All right, that's silver on the daily chart. All right, that's bullish. All right, up there in quadrant 4. All right, couple more here, and then we're going to call it a night. SMH, I'll read questions before I leave. SMH, all right, lower high, lower low, closing under the trap, under the 17. Okay, under the midpoint, pink line, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, down here in the lower third, that's bearish. Okay, again, you move up and you give it up. All right, that's neutral, but they were already in bearish territory, so they moved out of bearish back into bearish. All right, that's SMH. All right, under the midpoint. See that? They're in the lower third. They closed in the lower third. Down there, that's bearish. Okay, now we go look at the cousin to the SMH. That's the XLK. All right, these are cousins. They're very closely related, semiconductors and technology. You can't do tech without semiconductors. All right, so lower high, lower low, closing under bullish trap. They're pinched together, but there's still a little bit of daylight there. Under a bullish trap, under the falling 17, under, see the pink line, the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the goal line, that's the uptrend line, under, see the midpoint, all right, 50-yard line, midcourt, half field, midfield, right there, under the midpoint. Okay, so that's just neutral. You move up, you give it up, that's neutral. You move down, you give it up, that's neutral. So still just neutral. As long as it stays above the lower third and below the upper third, it's going to be neutral in here. That's XLK. That's the cousin to the SMH. All right, let's go take a look at XLF. XLF, look at this guy. All right, you wouldn't even know we're having a downtrend. All right, so outside day, I'm just going to call it. It looks close enough for me. Higher high, lower low, closing over a bullish trap, over the 17, flat 17, actually hooking 17, okay? Up here in quadrant 4, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, look for this, the bull flag for 3 to 5 days. Again, you see price move up, hold for 3 to 5 days. See the breakout? See it move up, see it move to the right, and then breakout. It's like shizzle right there. Isn't that what Snoop Dogg says? Right there, there's your reward. 3 to 5 days. XLF, up here, quadrant 4, that's bullish. All right? I'm teaching you all my secrets right now. All right? You should mark this one on your calendar. What is today? March 26th. March this. Damn, that's a good video. All right, so there's XLF. Let's take a look at IYT. All right, again, what do we see? Bear flag, move down, and a pullback and a downtrend. See that? Down and then kind of over to the right. Price action, lower high, lower low, closing inside a bullish trap under the falling 17. That's the red dots. Okay, under, see the pink line, all-time high anchored VWAP. Under, see the gold line, that's the uptrend line. Under, see the dashes, the green dash, that's midfield, 50-yard line, midcourt, okay? Under midpoint, okay? I'm going to give it to them. not in the lower third, all right? They got in there for part of the day, but they climbed out. So just neutral. Again, you move down, you give it up. That's neutral. You move up, you give it up. That's neutral. Okay? If you move up, give it up, and more, that's bearish. Notice they were bearish at one point. See how they moved up, gave it up, and more. All right? That's bearish. When you move up and you hold the higher ground, that's bullish. Notice price moves up, holds for 3 to 5 days. See this? Look at this. I'm telling you, these are my secrets. Reward right there. See that? Holds for 3 to 5 days. Reward. Okay? It's crazy, isn't it? You're going to remember this. All right. I'm going to see what... that's it. All right? That was the transports. All right, so now I'm going to look at if there's any other questions. Let's see what I got. Any other questions? Any other questions? Nope. It looks like I'm all wrapped up. Sorry, got to run. Thanks, Brad. And she's talking with somebody else. Okay, that's it. All right, guys. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. I'm so proud of you for making your profits and keeping them. All right. I wish you a wonderful evening. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow, by the way, is GDP. All right. GDP first thing in the morning. Okay. That's all the goods and services that we sell to our friendly neighbors. Okay. All right. So we're going to find out how well we're doing at selling to our friendly neighbors. All right. So... and on top of that, we got Mr. Tariff King, all right, might be releasing some auto tariffs. We'll see. He's been known to delay things 2 or 3 times. So we'll see how what actually happens, all right? So, all right, I'll see you guys, everybody. Thank you. Great job today, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning, all right? 8 a.m. tomorrow, okay? GDP. All right, 8:30. Everybody have a great night. Thank you.